continuing coverage of our top story tragedy in Happy Valley.
Our crews have been in State College covering this story since it broke last night.
Crispin Havener is standing by with the response from Penn State regarding alerts.
But first, let's get to Gary Sinderson with the latest from the scene on South Atherton Street. Gary?
Tim, we are back here out along South Atherton Street outside the Ramona Inn at State College where this deadly shooting went down last night. So many questions still remain almost 24 hours later. Police confirming today 21-year-old Jordan Whitmer of Bellefonte was here drinking with a woman at the bar inside P.J. Harrigan's about 10:15 last night. They say they'd been in here drinking for a while when Whitmer, for whatever reasons, opened fire. Also here were a father and son from Ohio, Dean and Stephen Peachy. They both were killed in the gunfire. The woman that Whitmer was with is still in critical condition. Whitmer fled from the scene here, crashed about a mile away after the shooting. There, he killed a homeowner, 83-year-old George McCormick, before he turned the gun on himself. Now, late this afternoon, State College police saying they're still unclear what the motive is for this shooting. Was he upset with the woman he was with? Was he upset with the Peachies who were also at the bar? What actually sparked this shooting after several hours of drinking here? They are unclear, and questions continue. They say it could be weeks before they get their investigation done here, but of course, we will keep you posted. Live in Center County, Gary Sinderson, 6 News.
After Whitmer left the bar, a second shooting took place.
But police say before shots were fired, the gunman crashed his car, and that's where we find Bridget McClure. Bridget?
Jen, police say this is the spot Jordan Whitmer crashed his car after leaving the bar. You can see tire tracks and part of the fence has been destroyed. They say after crashing here, he broke into an elderly couple's house that lives in this development on Tussey Lane. They say he chose that house at random. Police say Whitmer crashed his car at the intersection of Wapelani Drive and Tussey Lane, but they found his car unoccupied. They were then dispatched to a burglary in progress with gunshots fired at the home of 83-year-old George McCormick. Police say Whitmer shot his way into the house through a sliding glass door. Inside, they found Whitmer dead in the living room from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. They say they also found McCormick dead. And his 80-year-old wife was unharmed. Police say the shooting is unusual for the State College area.
Obviously, we're not immune from it like anywhere else. You know, it's something we have to be cognizant of, but relatively speaking, State College is one of the safest places in America. And that's by no small measure due to the people who work here and live here. And I'm not just talking about police, but it's the people in general who live here.
The Center County District Attorney says McCormick was retired from Penn State University. They say the gun Whitmer used was a small caliber semi-automatic. Reporting live, I'm Bridget McClure, 6 News.
6 News investigative reporter Crispin Havener is in our Johnstown newsroom.
He's looking at why some in the Penn State community are enraged that they weren't notified of the unfolding events. Crispin.
Yeah, Tim and Jen, the shootings happened about 2 miles to the southeast of the main campus. However, it is in an area where there is a lot of student housing. That's why a lot of students and parents were outraged today at the thought that Penn State did not set out any alerts to students throughout the entire ordeal. They did set out one tweet last night, and that is coming up on your screen now. It said, as this came out about a half hour or so after everything got underway, saying, "We understand the concerns and safety is a priority. The university is looking into the alerts and will share an update." But that was it last night. This morning, the university saying on Twitter the alert system includes incidents that are within locations governed by the Clery Act. That law was created in the early 1990s after a Lehigh University student was raped and murdered on their campus. It was later revealed that dozens of violent crimes had been recorded on that campus and not been made public. It now mandates that colleges put out alerts when incidents occur on campus property, on campus property, public property within or adjacent to campus, and non-campus property that the college owns or controls. This afternoon, the university put out an expanded statement clarifying university police was working with State College police, and they were monitoring the rapidly unfolding off-campus incident. They said after careful consideration based on the circumstances known to law enforcement at the time, location of the incidents, and the lack of an imminent threat to Penn State students or the campus, it was decided that an alert would not be sent. State College Police Chief John Gardner talked about this as well in their press conference this afternoon. He also says he wished he alerted everyone differently.
If there's one thing I think we, or myself in particular as a police chief here, could have done better, it was to release information sooner that the threat had been eliminated. Unfortunately, you know, when you get caught up in this, we knew that there was no more threat to the public, and I wished if I could go back in hindsight and release that information sooner, that we could, so that the public wouldn't still be in a heightened state.
A university spokesperson also adding this afternoon that the decision to send a alert is on a case-by-case basis, and adding that they will also review their procedures going forward. Live in our Johnstown newsroom, Crispin Havener, 6 News.
Crispin, thanks. Standing at the Gates for Justice will host a candlelight vigil for those affected by the shootings in State College. The vigil will be at Penn State's Allen Street Gate. It will happen on Monday from 4 to 5:30 p.m. The group says they meet every Monday for a quiet vigil to stand up for inclusion, love, and justice. However, they say on Monday they will be dedicating it to the shooting victims.
We will continue to update this story both on air and online. Stay with 6 News for the latest information on the tragedy in Happy Valley.
Are police any closer to a motive behind a deadly shooting spree in Happy Valley? What investigators told us just hours ago.
Plus, a vigil in State College to remember the lives lost is just wrapping up. Why those in attendance said it was important to honor the victims.
As the investigation continues into last Thursday's shooting rampage that left 4 dead in State College, the police chief there is making it clear this afternoon there's still a lot of questions.
And that includes what sparked the gunman at the initial scene to pull out a handgun and open fire.
We have keen coverage on the tragedy in Happy Valley. Alexis Wainwright is at a candlelight vigil that is happening right now.
But first, Gary Sinderson joins us from our Center County newsroom with the latest on the investigation. Gary?
And Tim, of course, the motive for this deadly shooting remains the biggest question here. Just a few hours ago, State College Police Chief John Gardner reiterating for us, despite what you may have seen or heard elsewhere, police are still not certain why gunman Jordan Whitmer opened fire in a bar last Thursday night, eventually killed 4 people, including himself. The bar at P.J. Harrigan's, where Thursday night's shooting occurred, is shaped like a horseshoe. State College Police Chief Monday saying Jordan Whitmer and Nicole Abrino were at one end of the bar, and directly across from them, about 15-20 feet away in town from Ohio, were Dean Beachy and his son Stephen. Police say it looked like Whitmer went to the Beachy side of the bar and shot and killed both of them. But whether the Beachys intervened in an argument with Whitmer or some other issue sparked the gunfire.
I'm still not certain of what's happened, and I've had numerous conversations with the detectives involved. They're not ready to give me a definitive answer, yes or no, what went on in there. I still think we may be weeks away from ever knowing that.
The only people in the bar were those involved in the shooting, along with a few staffers.
One of the things we want to be able to do is talk to the best witness we're going to have, and that's Nicole Abrino, and she's not able to do that right now. We're hoping that, sometime in the future that when she makes a full recovery, and we're praying that she does make a full recovery, that she's going to be able to shed some light on this.
Abrino was shot in the chest and still hospitalized in Pittsburgh. Whitmer fled the bar after the shooting, crashed nearby, and shot and killed 82-year-old George McCormick before turning the gun on himself. Trying to separate facts from other stories is time-consuming for police.
That's the thing that is that this stuff gets out there. A lot of the stuff is factually not true or we didn't release.
Police chief said within 30 or 45 minutes from the first shooting at the bar, much of their initial information was already on social media. Over the weekend, a GoFundMe account was established for Nicole Abrino, who continues to recover in Pittsburgh. And on their Facebook site today, P.J. Harrigan saying the restaurant is reopening, but the bar itself will remain closed until further notice. Live in State College, Gary Sinderson, 6 News.
And we now join Alexis, who's in downtown State College, where a vigil was held for those who lost their lives during the shooting spree. Alexis.
Well, Tim, just days after the deadly shooting here in State College, we continue to learn more about the victims. And now this vigil is where the healing can begin as the community comes together to honor those 3 lives lost and the 1 person injured. Take a look at this video. This was a sea of people here at the Allen Street gates in downtown area. They handed out candles to honor the victims of the State College shooting. Organizers say this is a way for the community to stand together in solidarity and shine a light on the victim's memory. 62-year-old Dean Beachy was a father, business owner, and horse auctioneer. 19-year-old Stephen Beachy was his son, a recent high school graduate known for his baseball skills. 82-year-old George McCormick was a husband, father, and grandfather active in the community. And then there's 21-year-old Nicole Abrina, a State College woman who is still in the hospital tonight after being shot in the chest. Now the vigil has ended already. Continue to stick with 6 News for the very latest. I'll have this full story coming up tonight at 11. But for now, live outside of the Allen Street gates, Alexis Wainwright, 6 News.
Earlier this evening, the Center County community came together for a vigil to remember the victims. Our Alexis Wainwright was at the event and has been following this story. She joins us live with more. Alexis?
Tim, community members host a vigil here at the Allen Street gates every Monday. Sometimes it's just a few people, but today drew a much bigger crowd as they decided to honor the victims from that deadly shooting last week.
In the wake of the violence that has taken 4 lives and has left 1 person still hospitalized, we thought it was fitting to have the vigil this week honor those victims and remember their lives.
A sea of people at the Allen Street gates in downtown State College to help start the healing process for people in the Center County community after police say 21-year-old Jordan Whitmer began a shooting rampage Thursday night.
It was very sickening and frightening and creepy and upsetting.
The victims have now been identified as 62-year-old Dean Beachy, his son 19-year-old Stephen Beachy, 82-year-old George McCormick, and 21-year-old Nicole Abrina, who's still in the hospital after being shot.
I felt just sick, and as I read more about it, it had happened right where I was, right near the YMCA.
Many say the news is so shocking because it's so close to home, and organizers say this is a way for the community to stand together in solidarity.
I think it's really important for us to come together. I think relationships are the only way we ever build empathy, and I think empathy is the only way we ever get to meaningful solutions.
Emotions were high as candles were handed out and lit to shine a light on the victim's memory.
This is now a part of our reality here in State College.
Some organizers use this moment to shine a light on what they say is a bigger issue: gun control.
Most focused on remembering the tragic victims of this senseless act of violence, and but also focusing on the bigger picture, in which it's framed, of the use of guns in this country.
Now, organizers also offered grief counselors after the event. Meanwhile, State College police say the investigation into the shooting continues. Reporting live in downtown State College, Alexis Wainwright, 6 News.